Now that we've learned that we can turn a shape into a form using 1 point perspective, having everything vanish to 1 point can give us a consistent perspective, and it'll give us the right proportion all the way down. So this would allow me to have a house back here that'd be much smaller and be proportional to the house that's up here. We can see this whenever we add several houses, but today we're just going to worry about one house and turning two shapes into forms. Shape and form are elements of art. Okay, the way I'm going to be making my square is I want to make sure that my ruler is lined up with the edge of my paper so that my ruler is going straight across my paper. And I made a 2-inch line, but I went from the 1 to the 3, which would be 2 inches because I'm skipping the first inch. Then I'm going to create a 2-inch line by going straight up and down. So I want to make sure that my ruler is going straight up and down my paper, and I'm going to create from the 2 to the 0, same on the other side, from the 2 to the 0. I'll know that my lines were both going straight up and down if in between these two lines it's 2 inches from the 0 to the 2, in which it is. So now I've made a 2-inch by 2-inch by 2-inch by 2-inch square. A square is equal on all sides, so each edge is 2 inches. The line here we know is called an edge, and each corner we know is called a vertex. So now I've created a perfect square with 4 vertex, 4 edges, and the face is right here in the middle. Okay, I'm going to find the middle point of my top line here, which is going to be the 1 because it's a 2-inch line. So now I'm going to put a dot right there where that 1 is, and I'm going to come up, let's say 1.5 inches. So from the 0 to the 1, and then halfway in between, we can find 1.5 inches. And I'm going to come up, I'm going to put a dot up here in the air. I'm going to come from that dot using my ruler. I'm going to make a straight line from that dot to the corner or the edge, the vertex of my house. The corners are called the vertices or the vertex. So now I have a square and a triangle. It's a simple shape, and I could create a house that is flat with only width and height. Height is going up, my width is going across. I could create a house and it looks like this, but it's only 2-dimensional. It only has width going across and height going up and down. If I want to make it a 3D or have the illusion of 3D, 3 dimensions, I've got to add a depth to it, something going back into space. I could make it look as if something's overlapping this by possibly adding a tree here in front of it. And that gives an illusion of some depth as well. But what we're going to do today is we are going to add depth by using 1-point perspective. The way I'm going to do that is I've got to pick a point. My point's going to be right there. And you could really put your point anywhere, but putting it off to the right side here is really going to maximize my 3-dimensional look. And I'm going to come from this corner of my square, and I'm going to draw a line from this corner to that dot. So I've got to line up my ruler with the dot and with the corner, and I draw a line. And we're going to see that everything is going to vanish to this point. So once again, it's got to be touching the corner and it's got to be touching the dot. Then I'll draw my line. So far, all 3 of these corners are vanishing to this point. Now you could do all the other vertex as well, all the other vertices like this one, but we'll find out that this vertex here and this vertex here, we will wind up erasing everything because it'll be amongst the house. So we can see that this is actually inside the house, and we'll see that in just a second. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to make sure my ruler is going straight up and down my paper, and then I'm going to scoot back. And this is where a lot of people mess up. because the ruler's not going straight up and down. It might be like this, and that's going to make your house look odd. It's hard, but you've got to make sure, look at the overall ruler. Don't look at these lines that are vanishing because it's going to mess you up. Look at the whole ruler and make sure the whole ruler is going straight up and down your paper. Then I've got to match this angle with this line. And so I see that my house is going, the front of my house here is going at this angle. And I've got to scoot back that ruler and look at the ruler again. Look at the whole ruler and the angle it's at. And you can even put your pencil down here to make sure that both of these angles are parallel. They're both acting the same. You don't want one going like this to where they're intersecting here. You want them to be parallel, just like this. You don't want your lines to wind up intersecting. Okay, then I'm going to draw the line from this vertex up to here. And I can see the houses coming together. This line and this line are the same. And then this line back here and this line here are both going straight up and down. Now I've turned my two shapes into forms. They are three-dimensional now. I'm going to erase everything inside here and everything inside here. And we can see that that's those edges I was talking about, those vertex, however, that are vanishing. They're inside our house. They're behind our house, so we can't actually see them. So we wound up erasing those. So those were unnecessary to draw. And then I'm going to erase the lines that are vanishing to that point. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a horizon line. A horizon line is where the land meets the sky. It's where the sun comes up if you're doing a sunset or sunrise. And where that's going to be is right along your vanishing point, your 1 point perspective. So I'm going to draw a line going across here. And if you have mountains or you have some kind of skyline, it might not be straight across, but I'm going to pretend that this is possibly fields. So if these were fields here, fields of cotton or whatever, I might have a straight across vanishing point. Or if you had hills, rolling hills, it might have something like that. Or if I had mountains, the vanishing point or the horizon line might not be straight across. But this is where my sun would start and my sky would start and my land would end. So you can see if this was my sky, everything above the horizon line would be sky except for things that, because of the perspective, is coming over the horizon line. But it's where the land meets the sky. But you can see my tree comes up above the horizon line because of the perspective it's at. If I'm looking straight at it, the tree, if I was looking at a photograph or if I was looking in real life and I was very close to a tree, it would come up above the horizon line. Okay, now we have a whole scene. You can add to it grass if you like. You can color this, you can color your house, whichever colors you want. You can make it look nice and neat. But the most important thing is that we learned that we can use 1 point perspective to turn a two-dimensional shape into a three-dimensional form, something with width and height, and we added depth to give it that third dimension.